has two girls. One of them is named Masha Diduk, the girl who won my bikini competition. She picks the girls that end up going and modeling for Dan. So she would be like a setter. Right. So that was before that. I don't know if you remember that show, Shit Show, the girl, what's her name? If somebody remind me what her name was. It's not the Rose chick. It was the other one. I can't remember. She
Bianca
used to
Gezzi.
Bianca Gezzi. Bianca Gezzi was a setter for Ignite. So that's the thing. Like, how do we do that? We use this whole massive thing called social media. And then we just like, hey, the rest of y'all that are not about what I'm about, hey, have a great day. Here's some funny memes for you. The rest of you who are about what I'm about, I'm trying to rescue some animals on Friday. You want to come? And then what happens? I end up in a room full of beautiful Instagram models like you saw that were all about animal rescue, and I'm all about animal rescue. See how that worked out? It was beautiful. That's what networking creates for you. It doesn't just funnel in the good people that you want in your life. It funnels out the people that really just don't have any value for you. You see what I'm saying? Yep. So how incredible, everybody who's on this call, there's a reality where you could be in a room full of just women that are attracted to you. How amazing would that be? But it kind of exists if you combine Instagram with Facebook, with Tinder, with YouTube, with going to the club, with going on stage at Zoo, with the Marquee, or with the Maxim party, or going to Babes in Toilet. You can create those situations if you really want to, but you have to make up your mind that's what you want. Now, here's the other thing, because Rollo, we don't just talk about dating on here. If you're a real estate agent, you're looking for mortgage brokers. If you're an accountant, if you're trying to get all the car dealerships in your city together, you use the exact same techniques. True. But here's the trick. It's fucking easier. Yeah. Nothing is harder than rounding up those girls. Rounding up those girls is that's hard. That's all Madden. All Madden. Getting mortgage brokers to come to your party where you cater the party and you have a couple of hot girls there and you're filming it. And you've got like some live music. That's easy. That's playing Madden on rookie mode. That's easy. Right. Getting dudes to come to places where there's free food and alcohol. Do you know how fucking easy that is? I'm going to get away from my wife for a couple hours. Are you kidding me? Getting dudes to come to your accounting event, or hey, Michael, I want to network with all the other yacht owners in Miami or whatever that thing is. The top is influencers. Always, as far as events are concerned, the top is influencers. That's why the Playboy Mansion was the hardest ticket. It was the hardest place to get into.
I want to go ahead. Let me on that, to that note right there, because I think a lot of people, whenever they hear like the word game or like pickup artist or whatever, like I have my fifth book is called The Player's Handbook, and it's really about the techniques and the psychology behind those techniques. It's not a how-to book. It's a why it works book. And in the introduction, I also explain this, is that game is not just for picking up girls. It's for dealing with your mom. It's for dealing with your female boss. It's for it can get you out of a speeding ticket. It just depends on how you apply the social skills and the social intelligence and the things that you didn't learn that are definitely, most people like say, well, how do I get girls, Rollo? Well, that's all you're saying is, how do I develop these social skills so that I can have a conversation and that can go from being single and sexless to getting into to becoming intimate, having sex, or developing a family, forming a family later on down the line, whatever your choice to use it is. That's how they get into it. And then they find that the same social skills have multiple applications. So it will help you in a job interview. It will help you when you're networking with the guy who's going to get you that next, real estate gig. It will help you talk to guys like Robert Kiyosaki just out of the blue, right? It will help you in so many other situations that are real, and they might be related to beautiful women, but they're also related to conversing and having this and being able reading a room. Reading women is one thing. Reading a room and reading a guy who is going to be your potential business associate, that's another thing. But it's the same skill set that you're using to find out, do I really want to work with this guy or do I not? Do I really want to fuck this girl or do I really not? So along the way, I should have pointed this out as well, is when and if you're making approaches or you're interacting with women, it's not just about, oh, I can't wait to fuck this chick. It's also, can I deal with this chick in my circle? Do I want this association with this person? That comes along with the read. And so, as I've said before, I've actually done this. I have used game to get out of speeding tickets. Not only from the cop that's pulled me over, but also when I get the ticket and I go in before the judge and I sit there and I use exactly the same sort of game techniques or the game social skills that I've learned along the way when I'm talking to the judge and saying, hey, look, that I didn't know it was 25 miles an hour and I was going 50, that kind of stuff. There's ways to use it and apply it in different applications. And I don't think a lot of people are really aware of that.
Nice. All right, let's get to some more questions because Rollo's time is valuable here. Hey, son, what's your question, brother?
Hey guys, I'm driving. Let me turn my video on so you can actually see me. And there I am. So forgive me. I am going to be looking at the road, but I've been a big fan of you, Rollo, for a long time. I'm talking like a decade. Absolutely love the podcast you and Michael did. Here's my question for you, man. How will you introduce your children to the red pill? Because my intention here is to minimize that red pill rage period, quote unquote. And I noticed guys in their early 20s, they tend to stay in that period a little longer than most, but guys in their mid to late 20s, after they build up a little life experience, they can click it in much faster. So how would you go about minimizing that period, especially teaching young people, keeping the future in mind?
Right. Okay. So 2 books, my second book and my third book, actually, I addressed this. The second book that I wrote was called Preventive Medicine. And from in that book is based around one long timeline of what guys can sort of expect from women at different phases of women's maturity. Okay. It's knowing what to expect. So when I wrote that, the whole purpose or the impetus for me to write that was I had all these guys coming up to me after the first book saying, Rollo, I wish I would have had this information before I got divorced, before I got married, before I got divorced, before I decided to move to a different state, before I changed majors, before I changed my career to accommodate this chick. I really wish I would have known this shit all, beforehand. So I'm like, okay, it seems to me like I need to write a preventative book for guys so that they don't fall into those pitfalls, right? So how do you go about your first part of your question was like the red pill rage side, and in my first book I go through what's called the 5 stages of unplugging, which are also like parallel to the 5 stages of grief, denial, acceptance, and all that stuff. And the reason why I go through those and I make those comparisons is because the way you used to think when you were sort of, quote unquote, in the matrix, in the blue pill kind of thing, and now you've taken the red pill and you see what's really going on around you. You see you're not using the same kind of rule book that everybody told you that everyone was playing by, and you are now sort of cut away from that. What happens is you kind of have to let go of your old self and become something new in a new red pill paradigm, because once you put the red pill lens on and you see things the way they are, you can never take it off again. And like guys really want to go back, but they can't go back after that. There's no like plugging yourself back into the matrix once you've been unplugged. So what happens is a lot of those guys get despondent and they get nihilistic because they realize that they can't have all those blue pill, idealistic fantasies of what they've been sold for a very, very long time. So one of the 5 stages of unplugging is anger. And it's not this anger, this red pill rage at women. It is at themselves. And that's what you have to, I think the key to getting over that phase is to understand that it's applying that anger is misdirecting it towards women. It's really at the guy who feels angry because for so long he's believed that this is the rule book that everybody's using, and suddenly nobody else is actually using this. And oh my God, I've wasted potential. I've maxed out the wrong stats on my character of life, right? And I should have made different decisions back then than I did right now. I wish I would have known this shit before I made these decisions. And I wish I would have had your book when I was 16 and not when I'm 60. How can I then prevent my children from making the same mistakes? Well, that's why I wrote that book. Of course, I also wrote the third book, Positive Masculinity, for guys who were red pill, who had children, who had kids. I got a lot of questions from guys who had sons who were saying, Rollo, how do I teach my sons, or how do I, when should I give my kids or my sons the rational male so they can read the rational male so they can avoid these pitfalls? And I'm like, It kind of depends on like, are they readers and what are they about? I don't want some guy saying, here, Johnny, you're 9 years old, read The Rational Male. That's not going to sink in. So what I did is for the first like half of that book, I talked about how you as a red pill parent can exemplify this and demonstrate it and not explicate it to them until such time that they're ready to be able to sort of absorb it. So that was the drive, I think, for the first half of that book. But when I'm talking about like anger, when I'm talking about denial, when I'm talking about like acceptance and all that stuff for the 5 stages of unplugging, the anger phase is probably the one that is the hardest for a lot of guys, particularly in this generation, to get over, because they really enjoy commiserating with each other about oh, how awful women are. Oh, how awful this is. I thought that that I was going to have my virgin bride, and I thought women were, going to be these sweet little virginic girls and wait for me. And it's like, no, that's not how it is. That was the old rule book that you thought everybody was playing by. You have this new rule book, and you need to understand that you have more opportunity and you have a better understanding of your own nature, women's nature, and using that to your advantage. You have such an advantage over like the vast majority of guys, because you know this stuff, because you have read all of this before, or you have experienced it through Mike, or you're going out and you're practicing it. You have such an advantage that you just, like, a lot of guys don't have the creativity or the patience or the really the insight to be able to apply it so that they can leverage it. So rather than do that, they would rather sort of mire themselves in this despondency and this nihilism. And then when they commiserate with other guys online, they never really get out of that. And so that's why that's been one of my crusades, I think, for the last 3 or 4 years, is to kick people out of that and to